For almost 40 years now, I have considered it an honor to be a doctor. I believe in our role as healers. I believe in our role as truth tellers. And the truth that we need to confront now is that medicine and science are being politically perverted around this country.
But at some point, the line has to be drawn on where activism starts and where it ends. And where it should end is in medicine. So one of the big things going around in sort of the woke world is that there should be some sort of correlation between ideology and professionalism, between woke political thoughts and medicine. And I think that we're seeing that a lot in the LGBTQAAIP plus C number 2 community, in particular to how they deal with the transgender people. There's this huge push that now these doctors, these professionals, these psychologists, even surgeons have to be activists as well, to stand up for communities and promote them and help them through their oppression. And they've even got people in high-ranking government positions to do their bidding for them. But before we get started, the freest and easiest thing you can do to help my channel out is hit the like and the subscribe button. Helps push this channel out to more people, get those subscriber rates out, get those views up as we prepare for that epic monetization to come on January 15th. But one of these high-ranking officials in government that I was speaking of earlier is that Rachel Levine? And they've sort of been these front runners for the activism in the trans community because, of course, they are transgendered themselves. And Levine had, let's just say, had words that doesn't do the whole "they're trying to groom your kids" narrative any good.
So I encourage all of you to think of yourselves as ambassadors to your communities. Ambassadors for science. Ambassadors for compassion. And ambassadors for care. These conversations don't have to be limited or restricted to a medical setting. Offer yourselves as informational resources, not just for youth, but for school teachers, principals, school boards, professional organizations, recreation centers, county commissioners, and others who would benefit from this information and your perspective.
So I'm going to stop right there, the first 30 seconds, because of what was said at the very top of it, which is talking about science. Now, I find it very odd that people in this community try to base what they're saying off of some type of proven science, because the science has never worked in favor of anyone who's transgendered. It just doesn't. It really just doesn't. Mostly because the science always proved that guys were guys, girls were girls, and that's that. So I just want to cut in real quick on this message to just point that out, that I don't and never have understood how they could try to use science to try and justify any of this. Justify literally any of this stuff. Because when you have the term woman, it's simply a reference to an adult female human. Man is adult human male. So it's just like, the science doesn't, it's not in your favor, guys. It's just not. You need to get away from that science argument and find a different one real quick, because trying to invoke science on here is just bastardizing science.
Please proactively seek opportunities to speak about what you know. Our task is to educate the public in as many forums as possible. We need to have these conversations that question the assumptions that are underlying today's attacks on trans people. Pushing back the veil of ignorance demands this extra effort, and this is the challenge before our profession.
The veil of ignorance, like men can get pregnant, that men can get their periods, that women have dicks. Yeah, let's pull back the veil on that one.
For almost 40 years now, I have considered it an honor to be a doctor. I believe in our role as healers. I believe in our role as truth tellers. And the truth that we need to confront now is that medicine and science are being politically perverted around this country that destroys human lives. And we have reached a tipping point for the role in medicine and civic life for the health and well-being of LGBTQI plus youth and other Americans.
Wow, the irony in that statement. Wow. Wow. You're right. It has been used for political and ideological gain, specifically surrounding the health of people who identify as LGBTQ. That's exactly what it's been doing. But you're positioning yourself as the hero of this story, and you're not. There's no heroics in cutting off a teenage boy's dick. There's no heroic nature in allowing a 15-year-old girl to remove her tits, breasts, boobs, whatever. There's no heroic in that. You're not the hero of the story. You're not the protagonist. You're the antagonist. But the irony is, you're saying that it's like, well, the far right is politicizing medicine. There's no bigger politicizing of medicine than what the left and the Democrats and this establishment has done surrounding science over the last couple of years in particular. So let's just be clear about that. Let's just be super clear about that, because they say that it's wrong to politicize medicine while presenting medicine in a completely untrue and politicized way, specifically surrounding the facts about the LGBTQ identifying community and the youths of it. Because when you look it up, even on the most left-wing side of the argument, 65% of LGBTQ youth will no longer identify as trans, not the whole alphabet, just get used to saying the whole alphabet. Trans youth, when they identify as trans in their early age, by the age of 18, 65% grow out of it. Now, that's not even taking into account the 93% that has been presented in other studies, because I'm going to throw that one out. I'm going to throw that one out and say that was probably a very biased study done by the far right. I think that's a fair thing for me to do out there for these people that are considering themselves medical activists. So I'm going to give you your side of it. I'm going to give you the best number that could possibly come up with, the low end, 65%. Almost 7 out of 10 will grow out of it. But you want to give hormone blockers, gender affirming treatments like surgeries to all 10 to account for the 3 that won't, rather than just waiting it out and letting the 3 that will still identify as that make these decisions as adults. And you're telling me that it's not you guys politicizing and ideologicalizing medicine.
Those who attack our community are driven by an agenda of politics. It has nothing to do with medicine. It has nothing to do with science. It has nothing to do with warmth, empathy, compassion, or understanding. They are rejecting the value of supportive medicine, rejecting well-established science, and simply rejecting basic human compassion.
Again, at best, your best case scenario, 65% will grow out of it.
We, as doctors and as people who love our communities and love our nation, have to confront the fact that the language of care and compassion that they're using is being taken to granted to literally tear our communities apart. So we have to stand up. We have to take a stand on behalf of those who are being hurt. That's what we do in medicine, even when it's difficult.
In medicine, you don't stand up for people that are being hurt. That's not what medicine is. I don't know where this came from. Like, you're not an activist. You're a medical professional, not an activist. Activists don't need to take into account anything other than their personal feelings about a particular subject. That's it. Personal feelings, they don't need to be backed up by facts or anything. Activism is just a group of people feeling a certain way about a certain topic and trying to turn that into a reality. Now, generally, the best activism is done using facts to back it up. However, we've learned over the years that that's not a necessity to have in somebody's activism and even in the success of particular activism. But at some point, the line has to be drawn on where activism starts and where it ends. And where it should end is in medicine. It is the most dangerous place to put activism. It is undoubtedly the most dangerous place to put activism because it's constantly evolving, we're constantly learning, and it should always yield to the concept of do no harm, which is part of, it's called the Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Oath is what it's called. Based upon some of these doctors, hypocrisy is probably the proper word. But, do no harm is supposed to be the entire motto of all people in medicine. And when you have, let's throw out the percentages, okay? When you don't have enough data to prove, when there hasn't been a big enough case study done to determine whether or not gender affirming care on children is effective, safe, and smart to do, to continue to push for it at the levels in which they're doing is a direct violation of the do no harm motto, part of the oath that they take as medical professionals. Now, for adults, I could see, based upon how cosmetic surgeries are handled, that you could place these types of procedures into that category. However, when was the last time it was allowed for 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds to get elective cosmetic surgery done? Never? I mean, they might do skin grafts for like burn victims or something. But do you not see how that might be just, I don't know, slightly different? Just a little. But I feel like at this point, it's the most divisive topic ever. I just wanted to show you guys out there more examples of what they're actually doing so you can actually have something to present to the people that will continue to deny that this stuff exists. Because it's becoming a bit preachy to the choir, I understand, but at some point, you can't stop making sure that the kids are safe. It's the one topic that we can't stop, regardless of whether or not we feel the people that we're giving these facts and these arguments to are going to change their minds about it and stop pushing for it themselves. Because I think the likelihood is that we're going to get more people coming onto this side of the argument than leaving this side of the argument and go on to the other. Because the facts don't back it up. And that's why as time goes on, more people look at it, and it's all just a lot of young people, and then people like Rachel Levine, who are just activists with fancy, education titles. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And of course, if you haven't, please like and subscribe. Again, the freest things and easiest and quickest things you can do to help out this channel and to help me grow more than I already have. Thanks for coming, and I will see you guys next time.